In today's video, I want to share a concept that shifts how you might think about working beyond age 58, the one that could maybe even stop you from trading your most valuable years for wealth that you may never fully enjoy. So after working with hundreds of retirees, I found that many who continue working past the age of 58 or so, they aren't doing it because they have to, but because they've never considered the true cost of time, energy, and the health that can't be bought back. And that's the reason for this video, to help you understand why age 58 often marks a key decision point and how pushing past it without clarity could work against the retirement that you've been working so hard to create. So let's dive in. So let's talk about the trade-off that starts to shift after you turn 58. So every day that you work past this point, you're giving up something that you can't get back. Time. For something that you might never fully use, which is just more money. I was talking with a client recently who they were really struggling with this. And he said, I feel like I'm cannibalizing my savings if I stop working now. And, that's a very common mindset that people have, that they're cannibalizing their money and really drawing it down when they've been used to seeing it grow for so long. But through our conversation, he started to realize that there was something really important about this, and that the whole point of saving all of those years was so that he could eventually stop working and start living on his terms. And once he saw that, he really started to feel a lot better about his decision. And that's the heart of retirement, isn't it? Buying back time. And when you work past 58 without a clear reason, you really risk sacrificing some of the most vibrant, energetic years that you have left, not for something better, but just for a bigger number on your screen. And the goal isn't to work until you can't work anymore. It's really to reach the point where your money gives you the freedom to live how you want to. And here's why that trade-off gets worse as you get older. Time becomes more precious, not just because the clock is ticking, but because your health and your energy start to shift. Things that you maybe would enjoy doing at 58, like hiking through Italy or going on long bike rides or just spending full days with your grandkids, those things don't get easier at 68 or 75. I always say that retirement isn't just about having time, it's about having quality time. And when you push it off too long, you risk missing out on those bucket list moments while you're still in your prime. And that's the real cost. You can work more to save more, but you can't buy back those years once they're gone. So yes, the time for money trade becomes a lot more costly after 58. But what really drives this idea home is that understanding how retirement isn't just about money, it's about balancing all of your resources, time, health, energy, and your finances. Retirement isn't just a financial decision, it's a resource balance. And the key resources that you have to balance are your time, your money, your health, and your energy. Early in life, we've got plenty of time and good health, but not a lot of money. So we trade those for those first two things so we can build up the third, and that's normal. But what often gets overlooked is what happens when you do have enough money. If you keep working beyond that point, you're not really gaining anything meaningful. You're just spending more time at work and more of your health for more dollars that you may not ever actually spend. And in the end, it's not about who dies with the biggest account balance. It's really about how much of your retirement do you actually get to live while you were still healthy and you really could enjoy it. We see this all the time. People saying, I'm just going to work a few more years so I can build that cushion a little bit higher. And I get it. It feels like it's the safe move. But what they don't realize is that those few more years, they're often some of the best years that they have left. And by the time they finally give themselves permission to retire, they've traded away their energy, their health, and those once-in-a-lifetime experiences that they can't get back. If you've hit financial adequacy by 58, it's that point where the math says you're good, then it shouldn't be about squeezing out more dollars. It should be about reclaiming the time. Now, understanding that balance, it's important. But then I hear some people still hesitate. They say, yeah, I might be ready, but with the way the market looks right now. And that's where we need to clear up another big misconception. The idea that the current financial climate should dictate when you retire. A lot of people, they get tripped up thinking that the financial climate, the interest rates, the inflation, market dips, that should determine when they retire. But that's not true. The truth is, if your plan is built on strong fundamentals, things like equity growth, rising dividends, and flexibility, you don't need perfect timing. If the capital markets continue to do what they've always done, adapt with the times, capture profits, and ultimately expand, and we believe they will, then the long-term investors, they don't really give too much weight to the current financial climate. And when you pair that with your withdrawal strategy, possibly a modern withdrawal strategy like the guardrails ones that we talk about that adjust to changing conditions, you're not relying on timing the market. You're relying on a system built to adapt and support you no matter what phase the economy is in. Some folks get caught up with the idea that they should time their retirement around things like interest rates being high, or even based on which political party is in office. But none of that should really be the deciding factor. Sure, locking in a higher bond yield or annuity rate might feel like smart timing in the moment, but building your entire retirement strategy around the near-term economic conditions isn't a sustainable plan. Rates go up, rates go down, and that's just what they do. Real retirement success isn't about catching the right moment. It's about having the right portfolio structure, staying disciplined with your spending, and making smart tax decisions. And when your plan leans more on equities, it gives you a chance to grow your income more over time instead of being tethered to whatever interest rates happen to be that year. So now that you know the financial climate shouldn't be the driving retirement decision for you, so here's what you can do next. If you want a retirement plan that you can actually believe in, one that gives you clarity and peace of mind no matter when you retire, I invite you to click the link in the description and watch my free training. It'll show you exactly how we help people to build plans that feel solid and personal. One of the biggest reasons that people work past 58, even when the numbers say that they don't have to, it's fear. And it's not always the fear about money. It's about identity. After 30 or 40 years of building a routine, a title, a purpose, it's hard to imagine what life looks like when you're not doing that. And we've seen people hesitate because they're unsure that, what am I going to do with my time? Or they're just worrying about they're going to lose their sense of value once the work stops. It's a very real fear that people have and things that we have to work on. That kind of uncertainty can keep people working long after they're financially ready. And here's the thing. Those fears, they're completely valid, but they're also something that you can plan for and solve for before you ever retire. So what we see over and over again is that it's not a lack of money keeping people at work, it's fear and habit. And after decades of structure, it's easy to keep doing what you know, even if you no longer need to. The problem is most of the concerns that drive that fear, like boredom, lack of purpose, or losing your routine, they're focused on the problems of retirement, not the solutions. But when you plan ahead, when you really think about how you're going to fill your time, stay connected, and keep a sense of meaning, you start to feel confident about what's next. And with that right plan in place, those psychological barriers that once really made retirement at 58 feel risky, they can start to feel completely manageable. And while those fears, they're real, they're very real, they shouldn't be the thing that holds you back. Because when you look at the actual experiences of retirees, the truth is pretty clear. Retiring earlier almost always leads to a better outcome. Over the years, I've never once heard someone say that they regret retiring too early. But I've heard plenty of people say that they wish they wouldn't have waited so long. And that's the recurring theme. People look back and they realize they missed some of the best years trying to reach some extra financial milestone that they actually really didn't need. And if you look at it purely through the lens of having your best life experience. Retiring earlier almost always delivers more value than working longer for a bigger balance. All right, so let's talk about how people who are wanting to create this better experience can make it happen. First, it starts with a comprehensive financial analysis, not to just check the balance, but to confirm that you're truly retirement ready and to identify where your income is going to be coming from. But it's not just about the numbers. You're also going to want to think about how you're going to give structure to your days and purpose, and whether that's hobbies or travel or volunteering or time with family. That transition period really matters. You also need a solid plan for your healthcare, especially if you're retiring before Medicare kicks in, and you want to make sure that your insurance needs are covered outside of your employer benefits. On top of that, reviewing your lifestyle and making smart adjustments can help align your spending with your retirement goals so that you maintain the life that you want without overextending your resources. I've learned how to do several different woodworking projects on YouTube over the years. And the nice thing is that with each new project, I get a little bit better. But with retirement income planning, well, that's not one of those projects that you get to redo. You want to get that right the first time. And that's why working with qualified advisors is so important, not just to build a solid plan up front, but to help you monitor and adjust it as life changes. And that way, it frees you up to do the work that's on the personal side, like your identity and working on your purpose and what you're going to actually do with your days. Because when you're confident in your plan and you're focused on staying healthy and doing the things that fulfill you, retiring at 58 doesn't just make sense, it feels right, especially if everything lines up. So now that you understand why working past 58 can become a costly trade-off and how you can make that confident, successful transition, you're one step closer to finding the retirement age that works best for you. And if you want help figuring out whether you're truly ready to stop working at 58, I want to invite you to click the first link in the description. You'll get access to a free training that my team and I put together that walks you through exactly how to build your dream retirement plan based on your numbers, your goals, and your life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.